Now, I did fail kindergarten. A lot of people ask, like, how do you even fail kindergarten? And it's true because I observed kindergarten once. And how do you fail kindergarten? To this day, I still don't know. But I have my theory. And my theory is that I was put in ESL class, English as a second language, but they put me in with a bunch of other Vietnamese kids. And the teacher was Vietnamese, so we were just talking Vietnamese. So of course I failed. I didn't learn any English. Basically, I came back in and I saw it. It's the other half of the penis. So I sterilized it and, with betadine and all that. And then I reconnected it. I saw him back, I think multiple times, but at the 1 year mark, he was doing great. So after that, I think that's when people realize that I was gifted in just one thing. Mm, mm. So, Dr. Pham.
We gon' do it like it's priceless. Take it to the moon. Priceless. One day will be soon. Like it's priceless.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of D Talk with Dr. Pham. So today we're gonna take a little refresher, meaning that this is a fun topic. So somebody messaged me and asked me, how did I even come up with the name Penis King? And what does that have anything to do with anything? Because even to this day, my parents are from communist Vietnam. They're not communists, but they came over. They were born and raised in communist Vietnam. And it's a very taboo topic. And so I think to this day, my dad does, but I don't know if my mom and my aunts and uncles really understand what I do, because that's just not something we talk about at the dinner table. And so now they understand what my younger brother does. He's also a urologist, but he does, prostatectomy, kidney cancer, whatnot. Everybody understands that. He's a hero. I'm a zero. But I think to the 50% of the population that carries an eggplant around, I'm probably a hero to them. But let's go back to where Penis King even came from. So I'm going to take it back even further. So I'm going to start with how I even got into medicine and kind of all this. So, back I came to America in 1984. And we were in Oklahoma City until I was in the fourth grade, I believe. Yeah, because when I moved to Fort Worth, I enrolled in St. George Catholic school, and so I remember from third grade back through pre-K, I was in Oklahoma City. Now, I did fail kindergarten, and a lot of people ask, like, how do you even fail kindergarten? And it's true because I observed kindergarten once, and I'm not talking and on Kindergarten Cop, like how do you fail kindergarten? To this day, I still don't know, but I have my theory, and my theory is that I was put in ESL class, English as a second language, but they put me in with a bunch of other Vietnamese kids. And the teacher was Vietnamese, so we were just talking Vietnamese. So of course I failed. I didn't learn any English. And that never made sense to me. Like, why would you put a kid that doesn't speak English into kindergarten with a group of other Vietnamese kids who didn't speak English? We all spoke Vietnamese. We played bingo in Vietnamese. I mean, how do you even come up with bingo in Vietnamese? So, anyways, I failed kindergarten, which to this day I'm still in disbelief how that's even possible. Because like, how do you fail kindergarten? I think all you do is you eat, you read a little bit, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you play some more, and you go home. So how do you fail like kindergarten? I have no clue, but I did. No shame in that. So finally, my mom was like, okay, you need to put him in a group that speaks English so that he can learn. And I think once they did that, then I was able to pass kindergarten. And now that's not to say I got smart. I'm just saying I passed kindergarten. And then basically, I kind of just an average student. And one memorable moment I had was In the 3rd grade spelling bee, my cousin was called up right before me, and he's 1 year younger than me, but since he didn't flunk kindergarten, then that's why I was kind of an older kid. And I think the word was plate, and my cousin spelled plant, Plant. And so they said it was wrong, so he stepped down, then I came up, and then they asked me the same word, um, plate, and so I asked them, "Can you use it in a sentence for me?" And I don't remember the exact sentence. This is retold to me by my older sister, who's about 5 years older than me. She basically said that after I asked him to use it in a sentence, and they used it in a sentence, something along the line of, um, I put 2 pieces of ham on my plate. And I kid you not, I literally went Plant, and everybody just was silent. Mind you that my cousin had just said Plant, and I came up there, asked them, can they use the word plate in a sentence, and I spelled it Plant. I think at that moment was when my mom realized there was no hope for this kid, for this guy. So we moved over to Fort Worth in the 4th grade, and that's because my dad never went to college. He graduated high school in Vietnam, served in the South Vietnamese Army, but he became a technician. He worked for Tandy at the time, which owns Radio Shack. And sad story because, at that time, I'm just going to diverge for a second. There was still company loyalty and all that. And 90% of his stocks was in, Tandy or Radio Shack. And when they went belly up, I mean, his whole retirement went belly up. But thank God he has 6 kids. So, they're doing fine. But, anyways, don't invest in one stock, is what I'm trying to tell you. And so, but back to the story. So we moved because my mom in Oklahoma was working at a restaurant at night, and then during the day, she would go clean houses. My dad got his education in Texas and got a job at Tandy, repairing stuff. And so that's when my parents decided, okay, it's best to move to Texas. So my parents moved to Fort Worth, and it's kind of cliche, but all Asian parents buy either a nail salon or a convenience store. Well, mine was a convenience store. And there needs to be another episode about the convenience store. But that convenience store was what got me where I am today. So, in Vietnam, traditionally, we have a lot of children because we all work on farms and you need farmers. And, the convenience store, I guess my parents saw it as no difference than a farm. And so all the kids have to work at the convenience store. And of course, the convenience store always has to be in that side of town that is rough. When you show up to work and you have to stand behind a bulletproof glass, that's just not a good sign. Uh, I mean, it's just not. And so, anyways, I still didn't do well in school, and my mom was always fair. She would have this sheet on the door that literally shows if you get an A, then you get to go buy a toy. And then you get a B, then you get 1 licking. And you get a C, I think you get 3 licking. I never got a D, so I never found out, and I don't think I want to find out. And of course, they always, anytime I tell that story again, my mom's always like, "What? I don't remember that." It's like, they treat like my daughter wanted a lollipop. My mom went to Costco and bought her a big old box. And for me, I remember getting a beating because I love cherries, and my mom bought a bag of cherries, and I took the bag of cherries and hid it next to the house, thinking that I was going to eat all the cherries. And then, anyways, I got caught. And, anyways, childhood was rough, to say the least. But I just remember basically, just never doing well in school, and I don't get it. I don't understand why. My other siblings all did really well except me, and I don't know what it was. You know, I did fall off a bike. I don't know if I have a brain injury because sometimes I do say things that that you're supposed to only think about and not say. But anyway, so we moved to the convenience store to Fort Worth. Was in the convenience store, and then at that time, I didn't come from privilege, and so we actually lived in the convenience store in the back. That had a little storage area, and so we kind of lived there. And it wasn't until my parents moved to another convenience store and we sold that one. And that was the first one wasn't really even a convenience store. It's basically a garage, car garage turned into a convenience store. And so I just remember working at the convenience store all the time. And the last the last convenience store I didn't have to work at because at that time I had already started medical school. But I remember, going to private school my whole life except for ninth grade. And in ninth grade was when my parents decided, you know what, if he really wants to go to public school, why don't we just give him a chance? So I went to public school. Oh my gosh, that was the best year of my life. I was just so carefree and it was just so fun. It was so fun that it landed me back at Nolan Catholic High School. And I almost ran over a nun, when I started back there in 10th grade. So the rebel side of me came along with me from private school. I mean, I'm sorry, from the public school. But somehow it just never clicked. Like education just never clicked. I don't know what it is. I mean, I never ended up in like jail with a felony or anything like that, but I just was never interested. And it wasn't until graduation that, my relatives and all that got all these ribbons and everything. And I was just so ashamed. And my mom was really upset. And then I remember hearing them one night where my mom was talking to my dad, and my dad just said, "Hey, we have 6 kids and, at least he's not in jail or he's not dead, right?" And so, my mom kind of cried, and I think that was the turning point for me. And so since I did so poorly in school, I had to go to a school, UT Arlington, which is very good. But I also had to go to junior college. And I think that was when I started to realize, man, I need to do something with my life. Because at that time, my parents didn't hire anyone to work at the convenience store. They didn't trust anyone. And so it was always at that time was me because my sisters and all them have already graduated and they got jobs. And then I had another sister who was at UT Austin, and my youngest brother, who's now my partner, he's too young to be at the convenience store. And so I remember studying and then going to the convenience store and cutting summer sausage and hog head cheese and pig's feet and selling single cigarettes, which I think you can't do that anymore. I mean, it was rough. But somehow a light turned off inside of me that just made me more determined to make something of my life because literally I asked, it was either I was going to work at the convenience store my whole life or I was going to have to do something to change that. And then from that time on, life wasn't easy. Like I said, I'm just not good with kind of academics. I think I'm more built for business, unlike my siblings who are, they're very bright. Like my partner, Brian, is very bright. So kind of fast forward, then I went to med school. I did okay. And then I got into urology residency. Then I did my fellowship, and then now this is the funny part. So where did the Penis King name came from? So back in I believe it was 2015. So for those who don't know the history, in 2013, really the only place that had real pediatric urology care in Houston in the surrounding areas was Texas Children. So after fellowship, I went and worked for Memorial Hermann, and I kind of built their pediatric urology program. And I did that from 2013 to 2019. But in 2015 was when, I don't know if any audience members remember, but there was a mom. I think she had postpartum depression or something like that. Anyways, it was all over the news. That she actually amputated the child's penis, and it was funny because not funny, but it was. I remember. I'll always remember distinctly that day. I finished operating. I was walking out with my PA and Gina, and to pick up my son, and then I got paged to come back into I can't remember which OR now, or a one or something like that. But it's that vivid because I remember which OR it is, and I'm pretty sure it was OR one, but so they had stabilized the child and everything, and the penis itself can actually tamponade itself. So you may not, during a trauma situation, there's like 20 people in there and everybody's scrambling. And so, somebody had put a catheter in and the penis had tamponade itself. So I don't think anyone noticed that half of the penis was gone. And so luckily the charge nurse looked in the trash can. And I guess when Life Flight flew, bring that child to the hospital. Now, this is all public information. This is all over the news, okay? Basically, whatever tissue they could see, I think their policy may be to put it in an ice bag. I don't know. But somehow that penis ended up at that hospital. And the charge nurse at the time, I think she's in Louisiana now, but she looked in the trash can and she had to take a double look. And then I guess she called some other nurses over and she said, "Is that what I think it is?" And they all kind of looked at each other and nodded their head. And so when I got paged, I thought they were joking. And so I was like, let me talk to the charge nurse. So when I talked to the charge nurse told me, "Oh, no, they're not joking." And so basically I came back in and I saw it, and it's the other half of the penis. So I sterilized it and, with betadine and all that, and then I reconnected it. He had a lot of venous congestion, but he ended up doing pretty well. Cosmetic was pretty good. I saw him back, I think multiple times, but at the 1 year mark, he was doing great. I think he was with his dad. I think mom got 99 years, something like that. But so after that, I think that's when people realized that I was gifted in just one thing. Mm, mm. So, Dr. Pham. And it was one of the nurses that actually gave me that name. And it's so funny because somehow that name just stuck, that there were actually even patients who were like, I don't know what the doctor's name is. I just know they call him Penis King, and I want him to do my circumcision. And that literally is how the name Penis King arised. It was just some nurse called me that after this operation. And so for all those who want to know, that's kind of where I got the name. It wasn't something that I came up with or anything. And so there you go. That's how, I got where I am today. And that's pretty much it. And so initially I was kind of embarrassed to tell people what I do, because it's not like plastic surgery or heart surgery. That sounds sexy. It's like, what do you do for a living? I fix penis. I mean, like, come on. How can that sound nice? What do you do for a living? I fix penis and I make scrotum tighter. What do you do? I fix curved penis and make scrotum tighter. So now what I do is when people ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a brain surgeon for men. And on the next episode, I'll tell you how that got one woman so enraged because she thought I was sexist and would only operate on brains on men, and I won't operate on brains on women. But that'll be in another episode. But anyway, so for those who are curious on where the name Penis King come from, that's where it is. And now my practice really is focused mainly around penile reconstruction. So if you like more stories like that, besides the educational stories, hit the like and subscribe button so that I can continue to do this. And then until our next episode, this is Dr. Pham signing off.
Like it's priceless, take it to the moon. Priceless, one day will be soon. Like it's priceless.